Hi, welcome back to CMC Gaming. I am wanting to do like I won't say build guide, but basically just a update on what I'm doing right now. I'm thinking about switching, so I want to get this out before I make the switch, just in case I am again unable to afford to respec. So I'm just gonna go over the idea real quick. The idea from the start has been Minion Tactician based on, watch how I do it. Allies in your presence gain attack damage equal to 25% of your main hand weapon damage. This is worded weird. However, if you're unaware, it just translates this chunk 25% above the minimum and the maximum. It doesn't care about attack speed or anything else. It just translates that to the base damage of your minions. It's pretty substantial. They're doing about 6k. This doesn't have any oh, I guess it does. It does have the extra physical as lightning. That should probably be physical damage increase. I was messing with some lightning shenanigans, and I hadn't changed it back. So minus that 10%, so 10% of 6,000. You'll have to do the math on 6. You're getting a lot more from that. So that's the idea. To scale the damage, if you have not checked out the Nettleant, it's my favorite Mind Spectre. I could probably have this build be like really strong if I just used regular minions. I refuse to do that, so this is where we're at. I was lucky enough to get a 5-link for extremely cheap before they made it to where you could rebind. So people must have just, got more than they needed of 5 links and ended up getting that cheap. Not necessary, like, for instance, this isn't even buffing the damage. This is just a quality of life thing for when these guys just run over and standing ground effects. One of the things I want to talk about, though, is this Nettleant. I haven't seen anybody, like, really hype on them. However, I think we're missing the key factor that makes these strong. The AI of these is the best minion AI, without a doubt, to me, that I've tested. And I feel like I've tested coming up on half of the available specters. So the reason for this AI being so powerful is that, for the most part, whichever one aggroes first, the other ones follow it and attack the same target. If you're playing with any other minions and you're, in a map, you're always overwhelmed by enemies 99% of the time, and your minions will attack the first thing that comes close to them. So you have your minions around you, and things will come in from all places, and they will go in all different directions and attack everything around you. The problem with that is that if an enemy has full life or 1 life, they still do the same damage to you. So if you're able to very quickly focus each one of them down, you're eliminating potential death. So it's kind of a defensive layer, if that. So I can't say enough about the minion AI for these. If you try them, I would try them if you're interested in any of the specters. These are one that are really cool, and I will demonstrate here in a little bit what that looks like. To kind of go over the build a little bit, I'm using Malice from my Scepter. That's from my offhand. I'm using Mace because, trying to eke out a little bit of damage from myself. Increases to minion damage also affect me. I'm able to wield this in one hand because of these gloves. The build started out in my area, going down here, getting attributes and reductions, and then pigeoning over to Giant's Blood, and then having to take another route all the way up to get any of the good minion nodes. I figured out I was wasting, I can't even remember, it was a large amount when compared to just using the glove. The gloves suck. You can make them a little bit better by getting double sockets, or if you decide to use the defensive blasphemy layer that I'm using, then you can put the, oh no, you cannot put the slow magnitude. I don't think slow magnitude corrupt goes on gloves anymore. I'm unsure about that, but at the beginning of the season there were none on the trade website for a very long time, so I assumed that because they made a pair of gloves that has slow magnitude built into them that I was using at the beginning, they may have removed that, but that might not be correct. One of the good things, we'll do items, because this stuff is kind of less important. This stuff's more important. This is actually probably bad. I had a different belt, and my resistances were solved easier, and so I didn't have to have resistances in my slots. Before I switched to this, I was just trying to get the damage from rings to multiply by this to eke out a little bit of more self-damage, and I'm realizing that that may or may not have been a mistake. This build, when I first put it together, this was a +3 to minions, and all of it together was so incredibly cheap. I can't even, I know for a fact it was less than 1 divine, but because I got a divine early when they were only worth like with pretty little amount of exalts. I think it was like only like 27 exalts or something like that. And then I traded it, built the whole build out, and still had left over. So it was very easy. So just to kind of look at it, this is a very important item. They were really expensive. They came down a lot. Supply demand, you know. The cool thing is most, if not all, I think most specters count as minions for these, which is, I'm going to gripe about this because if anybody else wants to submit a bug report, that would be absolutely wonderful. Darn it, I don't have one on this character. It's on my main or my normal account. The scepter that increases damage per undead minion that you have summoned doesn't work with specters unless they were previously undead before spectering. So there's a discrepancy. Either this is working and it's not with most every specter, or every, I'd have to confirm, I don't remember, but I think this is working with close to every scepter, if not every one, and that other scepter is not working with any that I've tested that were not undead before they were spectered. So report that, and that would be super dope. So this is probably one of the most expensive items if you're going to try to recreate this, because it has gone up. I was lucky that I made this almost. I bought this with spirit minion skills blue for cheap, and then I slammed out the rest. And then to save a bunch more points, I allocated mass hysteria to it, which is such a strong thing, especially if you're in groups, you play with groups. This is such a strong thing. It helps you with attack speed, it helps their attack speed. But I'm not like trying to stack attack speed, so saving 3 nodes, at the time it was paramount for me to do that because it got me to this when I was leveling, when I put that on there. Or maybe not leveling, like right at the beginning of maps. It got me here with all the other stuff that I needed, and then maybe it was here. Either way, pulling these couple points out at the time got me somewhere very important. So, come back to it. Being a tactician. being a tactician, the other thing is your defensive layer. I don't get stunned and I don't get affected by ailments that often. Well, I don't get stunned because I have stun charm, but combination of this plus the stun charm, very cool. Extra evasion. Problem is I'm not stacking evasion right now. I didn't have this at first. I was toying with the pin for leveling, and then I was trying to make Unleash Hell work. It just, didn't work. It has potential. It needs an excessively lower cooldown, and it also needs, and if you're listening to this, GGG, this needs to just have something in its coding and text giving it's in your presence. It needs to be in your presence. I like, look at this compared to any damaging skill granted by any ascension. It is the damage output that it is capable of, even with perfect armor, is astronomically in another world lower than any of the other ones that I'm aware of. And it's even when I'm built fully to support it, it still doesn't do damage, and it doesn't have purpose. And if this was more damage, or you stacked that more damage onto here, or something, yeah, cool, let's go. But no. So back to what I was talking about. This is a really cool node. From what I understand, and I have no way to test this, and I'm only going off of sheer instinct, and I saw one person trying to explain it online, and I wish that I wasn't driving and I could have saved it and linked it. And if I come across it again, I will link it in this video, so it may be down there when you see this. The defend with 200% of your armor, but your maximum reduction is 50%. Even though I don't have 50%, the way that armor works is it's mitigating. I used to have this up to 70 something. And I don't remember what I switched out. Maybe that was before the glove switch. I can't remember. Maybe I had a different. I can't remember for sure. But I had like 70% armor, and I could actually tell for the first time in my career armor was helping. And what I've gathered by that is that the way that bigger hits scale the effectiveness of armor down makes this node better. If a boss hit was going to do 10,000 damage and you had 50% armor, you would probably, no idea if this is even in the ballpark of being correct, but for the argument's sake, let's say it's only going to reduce 10% of that. You're going to take 9k and you're going to die. Now, the amount of armor that you have, if you had 70 something, this number, that armor number was huge. And 3 times that amount, if you put it into like going off like the way that old PoE1 armor calculates it, somebody was showing online, maybe that same person, maybe somebody just saying how bad armor was. The amount scaled when it gets really high in number is actually decent. And I'm talking like 75k or something like that. Like, I don't remember. It's really decent. And like, this is not even optimized. It's at almost 3,000. If I, got it up to, 25,000 and I was blocking with 73,000, normally that would be, close to 99% damage reduction, but you're capped at 50. However, those big hits that you're really needing to survive, they reduce that effectiveness. So the only way that you get any real mitigation on those big hits is to have astronomically high And so if something hits you for 10,000, you're very likely not even going to be capable with 100,000 armor of reducing it past 50% just because of the nature of the diminishing returns of armor. So this gets you to a respectable 50% damage loss 3 times easier, is this the long and short of it. Too long didn't read. This gets you to 50% damage on big hits 3 times easier. And that is what will save your life. So that's why we're here. I need to also scale evasion eventually because the accuracy penalty based on distance, that is, it seems good. I don't know what it is, but I had like 12% evasion, and things far away, I could just run around in circles, and like I was just using Leap Slam as mobility, and I was just nowhere near them. Like they just couldn't hit me, and I only had like 12%, and I was evading excessively more than 12% of the time, it felt like. So that's just something to be aware of. That's part of this. I would love for this build to have been able to use evasion, and ghost dance is my favorite thing. If you watched any of my content from last season, Titan ghost dance with skill effect reduction, skill effect duration, reduced skill effect duration is just so freaking awesome. And it's such a good layer of defense. I was able to run without Grim Feast, even in the Grim Feast meta. And I was like T4 Pinnacle boss, just I had to just restart my game when my DPS died because I could not. I was basically like an aura bot with that, but I could not be killed by it. Like I couldn't just let myself die. He would try to kill me, and I would just gain more energy shield than his damage would do. Anyway, way off subject. Let's crack back. I did just want to get to that part. I'll skim through the tree. This is basically just to get strength. That's the only reason that's there, really. That's the only reason that's there, really, is just because I had really strict requirements for Titan Giant's Blood. Presence effect and any aura skill magnitude. So you're getting the aura skill magnitude. This might be, skippable, and you might be able to go quicker into this side in order to get maybe some area of effect or just save some points if you're not going to do the defensive blast money layer. But right now, in Feeble and Temp Chains, and then Feeble, Temp Chains, increased magnitudes, and increased area makes a big old area around you, and these aren't right. But in a map, because I don't believe they quantify it right, but in a map, like you'll see it in a little bit, you're going to get reduced skill speed and reduced damage, and it is paramount to being able to survive with armor being so bad and not stacking evasion. So you can skip these if that's not the way you want to go, and I can understand that. But the presence is good regardless, so you may not skip them. I don't know, that's up to you. So you're going over here, first off, primarily increased minion damage. Good nodes, that's with the hammer, it's increasing your damage as well. And you don't have any, so like when you grab these, your damage doubles, because you don't have any increased damage effects. I love this node. Anything that gives you movement speed, but that also gives you armor and energy shield. Wonderful. Coming up here, obviously, you're grabbing damage to minions. That's giving you even more damage as well, and then more damage. You have to come here. Like, this is it right here. I mean, I guess you don't, but like this increased spirit, you see I've been over 500 a couple times on this build and made sacrifices just to make it work. And then I'm on the way up here to this. This is the most important thing. If you can afford to just put this on a necklace and you don't want to do the curse stuff, like, you can literally skip this entire top half of the tree. I would recommend going to here and just cut off right there. And you don't even need Mind Over Matter. I don't use mana, so just getting an extra 1500 life. Oh wait, I do use mana for one thing, and I'll show that at the very end. I might even clip that into a second video. I haven't decided yet, but it's my weapon swap tech. It's very important, especially to bossing. But you know, you don't need. It's just extra life, and I couldn't see a reason why I'm already pathing this way not to just grab it. Get some awesome area of effect of curses, minion damage, give you damage. I really just got this because at the time I needed the intelligence to equip my hammer. You know, area of effect is good, but like not crazy. Like this is just not that good of a jewel. This actually needs to be replaced. Let's see. Yeah, presence is really maybe some. Yeah, I honestly forgot that my jewels were so bad. So those aren't important really. This is the most important thing. I love getting that extra 1% elemental resist. Obviously, if you're doing the defensive curse layer, this is where it's at. This is just a ridiculous node. This is also very important, and I'll get to the weapon swap tech of some importance there. You're coming down here. Increased intelligence, like even if you were just stopping here, maybe just choo over here for increased intelligence might be the way. But this cluster is why we're down here. This make 20. Dang, this used. Oh no, those because I was on a Titan before. These I was like on a Titan. These are 30, and it makes it enormous. Makes this enormous. So this is really cool because 15% with the already slow is pretty sweet. If I could end up, I'll probably end up pathing here to get extra slow magnitude. Not sure on that yet. There's another place where you can get that as well. I think right, yeah, increase curse magnets, but it's just not worth going all the way over here, unless of course you end up doing the evasion side and skipping out on some of this. Then you know you're wanting like evasion energy shield. And where's the best one over here? This boy. Like you're already over here, so why not grab it? But this is also a cool idea if like my energy shield is pretty high compared to my life. Like this would actually be kind of cool because we're lowering the start time of recharge. But anyway, that's kind of the tree. You know, take a screenshot of it if you need. There's a lot of liberty to be taken here. Like I said, a version of I went down here, a version of this I actually went over and did, came over here to try to mess with attack speed for accuracy. That flopped, but you know, getting over here where you can get 25 dex and get crazy evasion, you could just come over here, but like especially if you're trying to weirdly do like a crit build or if you trying to evade all hits, there's a lot of stuff potential over here for the same type of build. You again probably have to put that on a amulet if you're rich to make that work. Also, the weapon swap tech really wants these, and I'll get to that. Alright, so I've kind of show you the things. I just went for really high damage on this and extra spirit. The main reason though is the intelligence requirement. That is also getting tripled by this. You need to reduce this. If you do not reduce this, you most likely will not be able to equip this. And you're like, hey, why don't you just sacrifice a little bit of damage right here and put on the convert some of it to blah, blah, blah. It doesn't care. This plus 2 intelligence is after. So you're automatically, no matter how much intelligence you're negating from the gem that converts it, you're still just getting that flat on top. I don't know if that's intended, but that's how it works. I learned that the hard way in season 1. I guess season, I don't know. We are armor, so we get double down. When I was leveling, I was using the 100 spirit flat unique with no mana thing, but I really wanted this fat chaos resistance early, so I got this right when I got to level. The minute I got to level 70 is when you can equip the spirit implicit. So I made some sacrifices here to get chaos damage. This could be better here. This could be better here. Yada yada. I already talked about that. Rings, you're literally just trying to get as much resistances and flat strength, intelligence, all attributes. You're just trying to be able to get to these numbers. Again, this could totally be a regular belt, and this is a terrible one for what it is. And that's pretty much this. I have 53 chaos resistance coupled with 18, so it's about as high as chaos resistance I've ever had on a non-CI build, so there's that. So kind of look at the items. I'll briefly go over what we're doing here in the skill tree. So skeletal warriors, I'll go over the weapon swap tech after, so we're gonna mess just this. If you just want to run up and knock somebody with your thing, I literally don't have it bound right now, but you can shred armor for bosses. That's kind of a good tech to mess with. You can actually use the armor breaker skill if you end up not doing the weapon swap tech, and that actually works really well because your specters are primarily doing physical damage, so breaking the armor, getting the extra 20% boost, and getting that reduction. I could even see a world where if you had the right belt and ring, that you could put the ring that gives you an extra curse, and then you could run the curse that negates armor along with your blasphemy, and that could be really sick. Oh, something, while I'm talking about blasphemy, I forgot to mention, I went over it way too quickly, this. Persistent buffs have 50% less reservation. Yeah, we're going for this, and we would go this way no matter what it is, but you're getting crazy spirit increase and 50% less reservation for persistent buffs. So, dude, blasphemy takes a lot. A lot. And when I was using this with my Titan, I could hardly fit the amount of spirit into the build that I needed, and now I'm rocking enough to have 3 clerics and 13 Netherlands and blasphemy with 2 things and an increase in reservation multiplier by 40%. And I don't know how much this is. 11. Yeah. So little when normally you're talking about 120 times 1.4. Like, it's amazing. So again, if you had a 5, or you got rid of the reduction here, or maybe this, whatever, and you put in, you actually can run 2 blasphemies, and with it will reduce both of them, and you can run so that you're not getting this cost multiplier on each one, or if you can only get 2 3 links, and you can run 2 blasphemies and run the armor shred one. So alternate option I messed with, very good. You can get the ring that allows you an extra curse to be able to apply it. So, going back up here, Netherlands, I'm rocking just Feeding Frenzy, extra level, keep it from just getting one tapped. This is typically Arcane Tempo, or not Arcane Tempo, it's usually Martial Tempo. I'm trying to mess around with being able to feel like I'm doing meaningful damage myself, which I'm not, but that was where the change was. And this was, I think this was something else, because I had a bunch of other minions in place, and even just having the one, I think this ends up, Spectres count as one type, so this is only a 14% more damage at the moment. And I don't believe, yeah, it's persistence, or persistent minions, so your unearthed guys don't count. Pain Offering, really crazy. I mean, here, example, Pain Offering with my little ant boys, 61, pop, 11,000. Like, it's just absolutely insane. I have to get it that way. I need it to cost less. Oh, actually, that might not be supposed to be there. That might supposed to be on Earth. I can't remember for sure. Um, Extra area of effect, giving it a cooldown. You're not using it more than every 8 seconds. It does suck in a boss fight when you drop it and they immediately just pummel it. That makes this feel bad, but also your ants are so aggro they will run out of the range of this. So having that extra area of effect is so good. But this is the one, Dance Macabre is doubling down on the effect, but you kill two clerics. What you would want, I don't have enough dexterity to do it at the moment, but you would want your clerics to have their res with ingenuity to lower its cooldown, so that the one cleric that survives the pain offering will revive the other ones, so that you can have the ability to, because these guys will not revive Nettle, they'll revive each other, so that's a thing. And then I'm messing with, I was just all in on Leap Slam doing damage, but being in melee in high tier maps sucks. So now we're here. We're trying to do this as a ranged, but melee. It's considered a melee slam attack, but it's not. It's ranged. So you're doing. Oh yeah, I don't know why I door at first. You're getting these out there, and you're staying a little bit at range, and you're blowing them up. And the damage multiplier on this is actually decent for a ranged attack. This damage is not. I'm getting 2 more, so even though it looks way better without, and then I'm not sure cadence works. I don't think it works with. I'm thinking it's a possibility the cadence does not work with any mace skills. That might not be correct, but it is bugged with a lot of them. It at least does not show in the tooltip that you're getting, or even here anywhere. Any display shows the attack speed. It felt like it was working, so I just kept it. So that's where we're at with that. Should probably take it off and put, oh, that's what I was doing. I was messing with the cooldown on this instead of the things. So that's an option as well. Leap Slam, Ancestral. This is really, no, this is the one I'm thinking of. The Consecrated Ground is actually really cool for your minions. So jump into the fight, jump in where they're going, and you heal them. That's really nice. Give it a little extra damage, give it some knockback. It already has knockback, so just increasing the distance is good for like landing in the middle of a pack and still being able to jump the fuck out without getting crushed. Though that's this part, and then the big one is the weapon swap tech. Let me make sure that I have that set up properly, because I've been switching a lot. See, this happens a lot. If you mess with this skill at all, it rebinds that you're getting 13 on every weapon. We don't want any of our ants getting killed on. We don't want any of our ants on our weapon swap. We don't want any of our clerics. That stayed. That's great. When we weapon swap, we have all of these, which this comes from the scepter in my hand, so you don't have to worry about assigning this, but 20 of them, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip to this, and with sacrifice, I'm going to get myself as many 25 of these bad boys as possible. Then I'm going to switch back, and that's when you're getting the minion timer. Now you have all these guys to go crazy. You cannot do this in combat. If you do this in combat, you will mess with that timer, and you're going to end up having your minions on delay, which these little guys hit pretty dang hard because they are high level. They are 26. So, well, that's not right. So, so they're 30. So they slap. That's not a realistic. I don't know. Oh yeah, it was because I switched. They snapshot, so their damage is snapshotted from whatever you have in your tree, which can boost pretty good. And then I believe they snapshot what they had, and then this, even when you swap back this, they still get ally buffs. Don't quote me on that. That's how it should work. And it kind of is a little gimmicky, but it's nice. You're going to need minion skills here. One of the things that I was doing was running the 15% increased strength and intelligence one with a corrupted +1 to minion skills here. And I ran that for a long time. I needed the chaos resistance again. So I got this strength, chaos, minions, expensive. But this one, I slammed. So I was, or no, I did not. Maybe I did. I don't remember. I had one with the exact same that I slammed, but I believe it was an evasion one, and it had less strength. It had something else. But anyway, so your weapon swap tech here is getting a wand that has +5 physical skills. At the time I got this for a single exalt. You want the 28 to intelligence to make sure that you're getting all the requirements met when you flip. This would ideally be +4. I literally just haven't got around. Before they were both +3, and that was fine, and I haven't got around to switching this out. I didn't really look at this. I'm not sure, obviously if you're rich, get the increased spirit, I think, but also with the way we scale damage with our ascendancy, this might be better off being attack speed. On the sheet, it wasn't better at the time, so I stuck with that. However, I'm not sure on that one, but this is where I sacrificed. I went to +4 minions instead of +3 minions in order to get, and I sacrificed spirit. I had 158 spirit or 64. I had a bunch of spirit on here that took me over 500 spirit, and that was dope. And once you're above 25, like the amount of damage you get from one level of 61 from one level is crazy. So every little bit you're trying to squeak by. Okay. So I kind of just, the weapon swap tech is get some good stuff on here, but increased skill effect duration, very, very important. And then sacrifice allows you to use your skeletons on your weapon swap to make unearthed minions. This recover 4% of your maximum mana when they die, so you kill them and it recovers your mana at the same time, so you don't just go out of mana by casting a 30th level spell. So like if I didn't hit anybody, it's a good amount of mana, but if I hit somebody, I get a lot of that back. So that's part of the tech. There's some other things you could run in here in a lot of these places, and my stats just don't allow it. So eventually, if I continue with this, I will update you guys on what you should be running in all places. But that weapon swap tech, the other big important part of it is you're wanting to snapshot increased skill effect duration here, increased skill effect duration here, increased skill effect duration here. These bad boys last for, I don't even know where it's at. Why do I just not see it? Duration, 48 seconds. At some point I had them over a minute, but I don't know why it's not. But anyway, it's amazing. They last for a long time. You go do your bidding and then you go into a fight. As soon as you break out of combat, you can flip, get your new minions, and go. So that's the really cool tech. I know I meant to post the tech on that a long time ago, and I didn't. I have to do more testing, but I believe you can snapshot certain other like if you're going to only ever use the weapon swap when you're out of combat. You are very easily able to take a lot of these curse related things and get to better minion damage, like better minion crit maybe. Like, you've got tons of options as far as boosting the damage of your minions if they snapshot the way I think they do. So that'll require further testing on Google Foo. I'll get to that at some point. So, okay, so cap resistance is kind of crappy on the armor. That'll hopefully be better or good there. You'll see I have no dexterity, which really sucks. It means I only can get a couple 4+5 requirement dex gems, but you have to have these big requirements to even be able to equip this bad boy in one hand. And if you have this in two hands and don't have this, you will suffer greatly. This puts so much damage on your minions, it's ridiculous. Plus, I always play with friends, so allies in your presence get wicked strong. My friend's playing a ritualist, and it gives him like 40% because this is also allies, so he's getting a huge buff from this being a big nasty two-hander. And that plus this, he's getting like, I think it was over 50% of his damage added on top, and that is redonkulous as a support. So, if you're a party player, this might be the build for you. Okay, so we already looked at the tree. We looked at, didn't say anything about that, but if you're aware, it pops Earth Shatter, and it also empowers stuff, so that's cool too. Leap Slam. Okay, so the original reason for Leap Slam was just because these don't have movement speed. And if you're unaware, when you Leap Slam, you can dodge roll and cancel the really clunky landing animation. And this makes you run. If you're just doing this, you're going about as fast as, I think it's 20 movement speed boots. Something like that, maybe 25, I can't remember for sure. So that is a really cool thing, and if you can eke in a little extra attack speed, I think it makes the animation time of this, I believe, down. Don't quote me on that. So that's important. We put the gear. I hovered over everything at least once. I prefer the game charges per second because boss fights exist, and I don't like to switch anything when I go into a boss fight. So, I mean, I believe that's it. If you have any questions, comment on it, please. I would love to go into depth on this, but it may be on a different build because I am theory crafting some spear situations for this build. Turns out, with the nature of spears, I can kind of eke out more self-damage even without this, if my one-hander is a spear. So that's a thing. And if you want to copy a weird tech that I'm doing, for instance, you can actually get rid of these and plop on these, and now your strength will let you wield a spear that needs 300 dex. Well, not 300 dex because that's because of these, but you'll be able to equip those and then equip a spear, but you can't use projectile skills with it. And how I get around that is the move Elemental Sundering. I'm going to go over this in another build guide, but it won't be out for a while, so I'm just going to touch on it really quickly. Elemental Sundering pulls an elemental ailment off of an enemy or your allies, which is really good for that party play aspect. It pulls it off the allies, and it does a shock wave of that type of element in the freaking damage scaling on it is massive, especially if you can freeze an enemy. You can make your minions do ignite, freeze, shock, all that. So Elemental Thundering is really good with that. You can save your minions and you can save your friends by pulling those things off of them, and as long as their entire build is not reliant on those things for damage, you do a good amount of damage, and it is considered a melee skill. So those, if you are randomly in the I want a high strength because of a lot of different reasons, like the usage of this kind of spirit chest and other things that are needed, you want to just stack strength and not worry about dex, and you want to use those gloves, you will be stuck with just melee skills. However, that melee skill by itself has a decent radius around you, so you can just stay at that radius. But the cool thing is you can use the skill to support astral projection, which allows you to cast a nova at mouse over. So you can basically be a fully ranged character, even though your whole gear setup is saying only melee only. So very cool tech that I'm kind of wanting to mess with again. So I wanted to get this video out before I switch to that and just destroy this build probably and not be able to afford to respec. Anyway, all that being said, I'm gonna mess around in maps. I am a build crafter, theory crafter. I am not great at this game. So if you've watched me before, this is going to be slow to go at base value, plus this map is the worst, one of the worst maps. So, yeah. Let's see if you'll see from kind of try to watch how they target only one person. That goes down, 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 that goes down. Like they just run through them. So for the fight, we're gonna do that and watch them just shred him. So problem with that was they died. So now they're back. So, pretty cool. They may not have died. Just, you can mess around like with this. Oh, and I'm gonna die. Okay, cool. So even with all of my thing, what is throwing those? Oh, Forsaken Miner is apparently a grenade launcher. Maybe I need to look at that. Do I have a Bind Inspector? I do. I have my good Bind Inspector. So I haven't messed with the Forsaken Miner. Pick up all the spears that I can find because I'm trying to mess with that. But yeah, I want to mess with the Forsaken Miner. Looks like he would have a good ignite situation going on. And probably can't be better than the Val Guards. If you know anything about Spectres, you know about the Val Guards, that they are ridiculous. And they actually scale with this character, I want to say, better than any other character. I'm not sure. There we go. So I'm not sure why that's not working. Oh. So. Of course, didn't get to do that, but whatever. So, being able to actually do stuff is kind of not a thing, you know? But. Yeah, like I said, I'm not good at this game, but you get the general idea of this being okay. Obviously, this is not a crazy meta-defining build, but you can see the potential. I apparently, those things hit like a truck. Holy moly! I am really not used to that kind of damage coming out of things. Wow. Anyway, interesting. Trying to get out of combat, and I didn't. So now you're gonna see if I accidentally grab my guys, I don't have any. But these guys did okay by themselves. So I don't have my good. So yeah, 32% skill reduction and 30% damage reduction on whites. That is really huge. Defensive layer, that's essentially like 30 times 30, that is essentially that much damage reduction. So that's absolutely insane. Man, I realize I am fighting some wicked powerful monsters in this. These Forsaken Miners are not messing around. I am actually, I don't like the way that they blow up the screen and I'm gonna lose my character. But darn it, if I don't like, it looks like their damage is pretty great. Okay. I don't want that, so just leave me alone for a second while I get it. Hopefully, yeah. When I was messing with the spear, I was able to contribute so much more meaningfulness than with this situation. Um, oh my gosh. Just keep coming. Man. Like stuff. Oh, girl. It's Forsaken Miners. I'm impressed. You can kind of see how mobile this can be. Okay, so let's see what the in mind. Okay. So I really wanted to fight all those guys. Just kidding. Didn't mean to pick that up. Okay. Can't remember. Literally can't remember if these will come through the door with me or not, but find out. They do. But yeah, you can kind of see how for bossing, it ain't bad. Because they work as a really good group. Oh, yippee, 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 yippee. As you can see, I don't actually progress maps on my account, really. I help other people, help friends. So mine is really underdeveloped. So yeah. Trying to figure out, yeah, I guess we just get rid of that transmute because all these other things are cool. Oh wait, D. So yeah, that's kind of the showcase. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave comments. You can message me on here. You can look me up on Facebook. You can message me on there. That one's the one that gets most responses. I'm still trying to figure out how to get my phone to yell at me more proficiently when somebody comments on a video. But I'm just getting this started. Anyway, that's this version of it. I'm gonna mess with the the spear version of it. I think sooner, and then I'm also leveling a Warbringer in order to see how good the armor break to Infinitum, and armor break being able to take their armor below and basically turn into a damage multiplier for physical damage when most minions are doing physical damage. Most good minions are doing physical damage that I've liked. So I really like that I'm about to sell this. So that's cool. This is probably worth more at this point, but I'm a po' boy. Hopefully I didn't just get ripped off. For the sake of it. See, this I didn't even care, to be honest. But if it's like a divine, I'm gonna be pissed. Nah, I can't check it right now. I don't like this. Whatever thing I'm using. Tide Whisper, thank you, Dan. That's important to me. Etiquette is very important to me. Anyway, that's where we're at. I didn't die. That was cool. Hopefully I got just a banger right here. That's a lot of life. mediocre physical. Curiosity. 50%. That isn't even that terrible, to be honest. I'm bound to determine to make the Recombinator worth my time, and it's not going well. So, anyway, that's it for the video. I appreciate y'all stopping by, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.